and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to Bell to Bells, your women's wrestling wire. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, joining you today on our YouTube channel right here, and not alone, because it is interview time on Bell to Bells, and I am privileged once again to have the chance to speak once again to the lady that you see right here, right next to me on the screen. She is the current Pan-African World Diaspora wrestling champion. She is the winner of the first intergender 60-minute Iron match. And on top of that, she's going to be facing Deonna Purrazzo this Saturday on at Global Syndicate Wrestling's very first show called Inception. That's happening Saturday, February 20th. And throughout it all, she found some time to squeeze me into her schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, the Afro-Punk Trish Adora is with us. Hello, Trish. It's good to see you again. Welcome to Bell to Bells.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
Oh, I'm appreciative. Of course I am. I'm really. We were talking just before you got on that very busy. I mean, you had a rough week, but the cool thing though is that here's the thing. I remember when we spoke last, it was in December when we talked. You were about to take part in Synergy Wrestling's women's GSI, right? The tournament. And I remember we were talking about, okay, what's on the slate for 2021, and you were like, well, I have a title defense coming up, and that's pretty much it. And look at this, out the gate.
Yeah.
The Iron Man match. Then you've got you're facing the Impact Knockouts champion. Of course, the title's not on the line, but still, Deonna Purrazzo. 2021 seems to be off to a pretty good start for you, wouldn't you say?
Yes. I can't even believe it. It's just how things are just taking shape. Even how the Iron match came to be. It started off with Tony Depp in the tweet, and to just see literally 24 hours later, everything's nice and set up. It's like, that's crazy, and I'm so grateful. I really am. It's just crazy this is happening like this. And
sure. Yeah. I mean, it's starting off. It's starting off like a rocket, really. It's like taking off. And well, I'd like to talk about the match a little more, if that's okay, because just a couple of days ago, that's it. You were involved in. I mean, I think war is the appropriate term. It gets thrown a lot in wrestling. It was a war, was it? But it really felt like one. It was a war of attrition against, like you said, Tony Depp and that jerk. When the match that's organized, it was put together by Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Beyond Wrestling. A fantastic match, 60-minute Iron match. Excuse me. First intergender one. You won 2 falls out of 3. 2 falls to 1, I should say. And you made history in this match again, Trish. Making history again. How does it feel to be such a history maker?
Oh my gosh. This is just crazy. I'm so happy and just so honored about like everything that's been going on. I can't even say that enough. That's so crazy. Like, I really can't say that enough. I'm so humbled by just the amount of support that I'm getting. I started this year, January 1st, with about 5,000 followers on Twitter.
Okay.
And now I'm at like 5,800 and counting. And it's just like inching and inching forward and forward, which is really, really cool. It's just nice to see my growth happening just in real time in front of people. I think that's kind of cool too.
It's kind of great. But I mean, because, we've talked about the fact that, you also won the Pan-African title in our previous interview. You won the Pan-African title in a tournament. You were the only female competitor, and so first champion, and as a woman picking it up. I mean, you're just breaking down barriers, and here you are doing it again.
Exactly 1 year later.
Was it yeah, that's right. That's why we're pretty. Is it to the date or close to
the
right?
4th? I won the 15th last year,
Wow.
and the match was on the 14th this year.
So yeah, that was
about a full year.
A full year, yeah, because that's it. On top of that, you're a full year as champion, as the Pan-African champion. But let's go into the match a bit, because I really liked it. I thought it was fantastic. I just want to talk about it a bit. You and
Yes.
Tony, you've got similar styles, right? You're both very grounded. You have great ground game, grappling game. Deppen is a highly skilled counter wrestler. On top of that,
Yes.
and I think it's one. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a wrestler, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. It's one thing to prepare for his type of match, but to prepare for a full hour,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Honestly, it's a mental game for me, especially you kind of don't even realize until you hear that first cue. I remember when they said that, I remember when they said that 5 minutes has elapsed. And my throat was like, oh, you know, literally, that's the first thing that happened. And I'm just like, okay, okay, and then you hear those time cues and you're like, okay, okay. And then you just keep, and then with each time cue, you just feel yourself stand up more and more. You're like, shit, we gotta go. Sorry to curse. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
please do.
But
That's not a problem.
oops.
No. We're equal opportunity swearers here. That's absolutely fine.
Well, yeah, well, that's in my head. That's what I said. I might have even said it out loud at one point. I might have let one slip. Like, oh my god, please hurry. No, but gosh, he is just a tank. He's got lungs on him, and he will not let up. I could not believe, just
Mhm.
the amount of just sheer grit that I just had to pull out of me. I felt like just with every yell, I felt like stronger and stronger. It was just I couldn't I every single thing he had an answer for everything, and it was just such a savvy competitor to just be right there and just have an answer for everything. It was just up to me to quickly have an answer back, and it just really challenged me, as on my technical wrestling journey. He's such a technical stud, so it was
Yeah.
just quite the test
Well, I mean,
to be able to.
he came in with a clear game plan, right? He worked your knee for the better part of the match. That was his thing, right?
Yes.
And he and as good as he is as counter wrestling and as good as your ground game is, you have a bit in my in depth analysis. You have a bit of a one up on him because you've got a really solid striking game, right? And I feel so throughout the match, whenever you'd get in control early on, like I'd say in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, you'd get in control at some moments, and he'd hit the deck. He'd roll out of the ring and be like,
Yes.
yeah, no, I don't want any of this. How do you, and you said it yourself, it's a mental game. How do you keep your cool when he's doing something so bloody infuriating as just like getting out of the ring so that you can't get a strike in kind of thing?
It's just so interesting. It's just to be able to tire me out mentally.
Yeah,
That's once you're tired there, you're never going to get your breath back in a sense. You know what I mean?
sure.
So it's like to play those little games, to roll out of the ring and to just to be as, grimy and to just have this unsportsmanlike conduct about himself is just very poking the bear. It felt very much like that. So it was up to me to try to keep my cool as best as I can, because the minute my mind starts racing and I start to get agitated, I lose control. You know what I mean?
Sure. And
So
and clearly that's what he was trying, right? But you were able to you managed to keep your cool most of the time, and you had a great ground game. All those Gresham tapes you've been watching, they helped out, right? Um,
oh yeah.
and yeah, I mean, you took a beating, and about 51 minutes in, out of nowhere, Lariat Tubman takes him down. You get the first fall, and then starts the home stretch. The last 10 minutes. Deppen hits a brain
Oh,
buster. He repeatedly slams your knee into the mat, and that provokes the first fall, his own fall. So we're tied up at one fall apiece, excuse me. And then he even tries a coup de grace on you. He can't put you away. Last few seconds, you get you get the crucifix pin on him. I wanted to say matchbox, but that was the crucifix pin. But you're working again. You're working for a full hour here, and you've been working for 50 minutes up until this point. But the last 10 minutes, you start this grueling, faster pace. It just boggles my mind how where do you find the energy to just pick it up to the point at the end where we're all sitting there and pulling our hair out of our heads.
It's, and I would usually feed off of the crowd and the energy in the room.
Right.
That's such a life force for me. And just to not have that, I even felt as somewhat of a disadvantage too, in a sense,
Right.
to just be all alone with my thoughts and just, I could hear with, when they say 50 minutes have elapsed, and it's like, I start hearing my heartbeat in my ears at this point because I'm starting to get scared. Now I'm like, okay, wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, come on now. We've been doing this. And then, you start to feel like, the air started to just thin and you just, every little strike, it's so much more dire.
Right, right,
So much
absolutely.
more dire at that point. I don't think I ever hit anybody as hard as I was hitting him in these. And I feel like he may be able to say the same.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, well,
And
he kind of did at the end when at the end of the match he told you to stand up, and I was like, oh, look at this guy. But no, you stand up. He shakes your hand. He says that tells you that you're just as good as every single guy he's ever been in the ring with. That and especially from a jerk like Tony Depp. And no, but I'm joking, of course. That's a nice endorsement. That must have felt good at the end.
respect between competitors is always in style, no matter what. I always have respect for any competitor that ever decides to share the ring with me. To earn his respect throughout that hour was just that was the test.
Right.
It felt like that was the test, and to have his handshake, after he was just such a jerk. He just said everything he could to get under my skin. He spit in my face, and
He did
I don't,
crunches when he had you in a grapevine. You're Yeah, he did it.
yeah, I was kind of, yeah, I got him back though. I had a couple push-ups on him,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
there's
exactly.
that jerk. No, but to have that respect from him, that's huge to me. That's so important to me. You know,
Right.
um, from one technician to another, I appreciate his handshake. So
So, and I know you've wrestled in a lot of contexts where there's a lot of mutual respect with your opponent. Um, is has it ever happened? And we don't necessarily have to name names. Has it ever happened that you've wrestled someone you're like, this I don't like this person like at all, or there's no goods coming out of this? Has it ever happened? And again, we don't necessarily have to name names, but has it ever happened?
well, um, it's honestly in the mindset.
Okay.
It's less about what's actually going to happen in the match, and it's more about how you see whatever had happened in the match.
Right.
So it usually stops for me right there. I never let it permeate my brain and start to think that something. Oh, I don't like it. There's To be a good sport is supposed to always be in style, no matter what.
True.
And I just try to carry that with me throughout. So
See, and that's you're so even on these things. It's part of what makes you who you are and what makes you great. And one of the cool things that also sort of adds to all of this, the match itself had a special T-shirt that was designed by Davey Painting, and a portion of the T-shirt sales were donated to charities that both you and Tony Deppen picked. Picked the Grateful Garment Project as his charity, and you picked the Harriet Tubman Women's Shelter in DC, which you have a connection with because your mother used to work there.
yes.
Um, do you want to share about what they do there? Do you want at the shelter? Why you felt compelled to choose them as your charity?
Yes. So throughout my life, I have a special relationship with them in a sense because my mother used to be a case manager there and things like that. Her entire life, she's just had such a life of service, So she's always worked as case managers at outpatient centers and women's shelters and things like that. So working at the Harriet Tubman Women's Shelter and just, you know, seeing some of the conditions and just some of the things that were trying to get lifted off the ground, but there's not enough funding, and
Sure.
there's just never enough funding for everything that you need as far as service to the public. There just never is. So there just always becomes that problem, and just seeing her get frustrated, things like that. I just thought it would be a cool way to help. You know,
Right.
the opportunity to give back to my community in a real way. It's just I couldn't pass that up. And to see the look on her face when I told her, I was like, "Hey, mom, we're gonna do something for the Harriet Tubman Women's Shelter." She was over the moon about it. She was just so happy that I was choosing to kind of give back in that way.
Sure.
It makes her even prouder of my work, which is cool. It makes me happier to do the work, and I'm just happy about that. It's a 24-hour women's shelter. They provide working programs, working bed programs, and things like that. And they just operate on a 24-hour basis. They provide some medical services, some outpatient services as
Right. Right. Right.
well. So,
Okay. Well, that's good, I, I always it's always interesting. It's always fun to see, also, within wrestling and the independent scene, giving back, especially in these times. It's always great. So it was a fantastic match. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it tremendously, and like I tweeted out that day, it's Beyond and PWI probably love us very much to have put this together on Valentine's Day. That was fantastic, and you guys as well. Um, it's a free match that was out there. Do you have the impression that maybe this helped some people get to know Trish Adora that maybe hadn't had a chance to see your work since it was out there on YouTube, very easily to access? You think some people got to discover who you were, what you were all about?
yes, yes. Beyond has a very huge following.
Mm-hmm.
They have over 3 million subscribers on YouTube. That's huge for YouTube numbers. That's a very big platform as far as wrestling on the independents goes as
Absolutely.
well. So it's very who's who. So to be able to have that platform, for an hour across from Tony Depp, and it was just kismet.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
I'm glad. That's fantastic. The so looking forward now, this weekend on Saturday, Deonna Purrazzo, as we mentioned, is going to be your opponent, current Impact Knockouts champ. Another grappler, another submission specialist,
Yes,
another wrestler who's known for her ring IQ. Not unlike one Anthony Deppen.
yes.
Um, are you preparing in a little bit of the same way? I mean, a week, not even a full week after your 60-minute match, you're getting into another match with someone who can likely twist you into pretzels as well. Are you preparing in the same way for this one?
Yes, just mentally trying to keep all my pieces in order. You know what I mean? Though I liken this to a war, it's really just a war within myself in a way. Like I feel as though even though I'm in charge of all the pieces, I'm still looking across at
Sure.
my own face in a sense. So there's a lot of like mental. There's just there's just another level that this match is gonna take me to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This feels, so different. And to be able to debut at like a new company and to be able to face someone with the ring IQ of the virtuosa, I mean, I could just I'm so honored to be able to face her. And I don't take that lightly at all.
And but
So
the word on the word honor does come up. I mean, I understand that when you talk about someone, but you do talk about it a lot. Like, one of the things that I think identifies you the best is how grateful you are for everything that's happening to you, and so on and so forth. But you also put in the work, to get to where you are as well. Um, is that your basic philosophy in wrestling and life moving forward? Is just finding what makes you grateful, and clutching to it and moving forward?
yes, absolutely. It's been keeping me humble, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, to feel so far along, I'm still so close to my beginning. So it's hard to kind of forget about that part. I don't think I ever will. I hope I never will. You know what I mean? I just really hope I never forget about that. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected to people.
Sure.
I never want to, I know the industry I'm in, but I never want to feel like I'm of the industry in a sense. I like being of the people in a
Right.
sense. You know what I mean? Like there's a different
I
feel
get
to
that.
that, you know? And so
No, I
I'm
understand
kind
what you
of,
mean.
okay, good. I'm hoping I'm not talking in too many circles. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no,
But
no, absolutely not. No, no, no. It's all making sense. Yeah, no, no,
okay.
no, because we know what we know about the wrestling business, and we know what it can do to people. You know,
Yeah.
so I think there's something very refreshing in your approach on that level.
Yeah. I hope
So,
I can stay refreshed about it, and just keep, I felt some changes, since the collective, since my match against Suge,
hmm
just seeing the trajectory of things take off for me. I've experienced, a few changes in the amount of, support, or just some things have been shifting a little bit,
sure.
good and bad, and so
hmm
I'm just noticing those things. And I'm just understanding that I'm doing something right. You know,
hmm
if it's never been more clear, it's clearer now. In the direction I've been taking, I'm just kind of seeing there a shift in support and just a general shift. So it's just interesting to note, and I'm just hoping I can stay refreshed and not become embittered or jaded. That's not going to help anybody. You know what I
No,
mean? It won't help me.
yeah, no, absolutely not. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like it'd take something pretty severe to sort of flip you like that, and then become like completely cold. Nah, I don't
Yeah,
see that.
almost happened, but didn't.
Uh, good, good. We're all better off for it. So, like we said, 2021's off to a rambunctious start. I know you're someone who thinks big. You've got the ambitions. Again, when we were talking in December, you were hoping that COVID would let up so you could go back to Japan, wrestle in the UK and Canada, so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure you're still crossing your fingers. But realistically, we see how things are happening. What do the next few months have in store for you?
Hmm. To continue to, I know, right? I'm just like, let me see, let me think.
I love
I
it. I
for
love it.
sure, I for sure want to continue to debut at new places.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I do want to keep training at the forefront though, because I'm trying to stay safe and be mindful about the amount of bookings, and just to make sure everything can still be safe and comfortable. I don't
Sure.
want to be put on the shelf for any reason. So, um, keeping training at the forefront, debuting at new places, regularly on TV in some
Ah,
capacity.
well, I
To
mean,
debut on TV this year would be pretty dope, and to regularly, you know what I mean? That'll
well,
be.
again, harkening back to the last time we chatted, I feel like it's a complete throwback episode here, but you had talked about having some doors open, shaking some hands through those doors.
Hmm.
Have any of those doors held on to the handshake and sort of started bringing you through the door, or are your options still all open?
We're staring at each other through the screen door.
That's interesting. Very
That's what's
interesting.
happening right now. We're staring at each other through the screen door, and I'm slowly packing, just waiting for them to knock. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I'll just keep packing in the meantime. You knock when you're ready, you know. So
Just
that's
send a
kind of
car. They're
the vibe. Yeah,
just send a
like
car.
look,
I'm ready to go.
for real.
Okay, that's cool. We're gonna keep an eye on that then. I'm very hopeful for you. I like you're a wonderful person to talk to, Trish. I enjoy having the chance to chat, but on top of that, I'm a big fan of your work as well. So I really do hope that you have a wonderful rest of your year. I hope things continue on the same trajectory. Maybe in a couple of months we'll get to chat again about the next big thing in your career.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
I'd love that. Trish, before we go, if anyone wants to follow you on social media or whatever, where should they do that?
At Trish Adora 202. That's on Twitter and Instagram.
just as simple as that, and you'll get everything you need there.
Yeah.
The Afropunk Trish Adora, she's heading into another big battle this weekend against Deonna Purrazzo at GSW Inception, Saturday, February 20th. Make sure you check that out. Thank you again very much for joining me today, Trish, on Bell to Bells.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And thank you everyone for watching. Subscribe, like, you know the drill by this point. The bell. I don't have to walk you through it. You guys know how YouTube works. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you all. See you next time.